Amish Grace is a really fantastic film, but a very difficult watch. I think I cried pretty much all of the way throughout it. It's a very tough watch, but I thoroughly recommend it. This was released in 2010. It's directed by Greg Champion. It's written by Sylvie White and Tina Booth, and it's based on the book Amish Grace: How Forgiveness Transcended Tragedy. And this is based on a true story, but with fictional accounts and fictional characters. And I hadn't heard of this. It's based on the 2006 school shooting, the West Nickel Mines School in Pennsylvania. I don't want to go into too much detail in case you don't want to know about it in too much detail until you've watched the film or you want to read about it in your own time. But basically, somebody went into this Amish classroom and, well, killed several children and hurt several others. And this happens at the beginning of the film. And the film is about the aftermath and specifically one mother's difficulty with forgiveness. This is Ida Graber, played by Kimberly Williams-Paisley, and part of what's deeply rooted in a lot of the faith for Amish people is forgiveness. Forgive because that's what the Lord would do. But Ida, understandably, is really struggling to forgive the shooter. And I don't blame her. And it's about her emotional battle with feeling these really strong negative emotions towards the shooter, understandably again, but also being encouraged by others to forgive, especially when she's not ready to forgive. It's very, very difficult, and it's such an emotional film, and it would be emotional were it not based on truth, but the fact that it is just makes it all the more challenging to watch. But I really, really thoroughly recommend it. I really enjoy films about the Amish, but interestingly for me, when I watch films about the Amish, ordinarily I'm on the lookout for any inaccuracies so I can report back and say, yes, it was a good story, but it's maybe not accurate to Amish life. But with this one, that was never really in my mind a lot. I wasn't looking at it thinking, well, is that how the Amish dress, or do they have buttons on their clothing and things like that? There are, of course, different orders of Amish, and some Amish communities have a slightly more modern approach. Over the years, they've allowed certain modern conveniences, I guess, into their life, and some are a little bit more strict. But with this one, I was just so emotionally involved in the narrative that all of those thoughts took a backseat. And it was a really different experience for me watching this when I sat down with the desire to watch an Amish film. This is the one I chose next. And the narrative was just so compelling that I could not think about anything else. So the point there is that I can't really comment on whether the Amish aspect is 100% accurate, because I wasn't really on the lookout for that this time. I was so drawn into the narrative, and it's emotional, it's challenging. And even if you don't watch the film, I thoroughly recommend reading about the shooting in 2006, because it's interesting. It's difficult. It's also the first time I've been aware of a school shooting in an Amish community. There may be others. I hope there aren't, but it was definitely something I hadn't expected, and it's quite shocking, to be frank. The film itself is beautifully done. Kimberly Williams-Paisley gives such an amazing performance. Everybody did, but obviously in particular, she's a standout, and it's very, very well done. I'll say no more. I don't want to give away anything else, because I really recommend Amish Grace. A very powerful story, absolutely awful, that is based on truth. Some really great performances, very moving film, and definitely one that I recommend.